So today in this lecture we will talk about the circuit breaker. So first off, discuss the what is a circuit breaker. A circuit breaker is device which interrupt the current, voltage or power to a circuit. And basically the design of circuit breaker that it has a main fixed contact and one is a moving contact, and inside there is a relay that is called the heart of the circuit breaker. So once we supply a current to this relay, the relay gets magnetized or energized, causing the magnetic plunger to pull down so that the moving contacts gets opened and circuit breaker interrupt the supply. So that is the purpose of the circuit breaker. And that's why it has been discussed here that a circuit breaker can make or break a circuit either manually or automatically under all conditions. That is no load, full load and short circuit conditions. It means a circuit breaker can be interrupted or can be opened manually or automatically under three conditions. What are three conditions? That is no load, full load and short circuit conditions. Now automatic circuit breakers, which are usually employed for the protection of electrical circuits, are equipped with a trip coil connected to a relay or other means and designed to open the breaker automatically under abnormal conditions such as overcurrent. What are the abnormal conditions? Abnormal conditions may be the short circuit current, overcurrent, overload, or by means of any fault happens in the power system network. And trip coil. Trip coil is nothing but that is the relay which is mounted inside the circuit breaker. So as I have discussed that when the relay gets supply, a relay gets energized, it's open the plunger or attack the plunger, and by attracting the plunger the moving contacts gets open, so circuit breaker interrupts the supply. That is how we can define the circuit breaker. Now let us say how this operates. A circuit breaker is a switching and current interrupting device. It consists of a fixed and moving contacts called the electrodes. So under normal operating condition, these contacts remain closed, that is touching to each other, and will not open automatically until unless the system becomes faulty. But the contacts can be opened manually or remote control whenever desired. So basically we are talking about the relay. This is the relay which is mounted inside the circuit breaker, and this is a coil. So just see a direction is shown here, that is a current flowing through the coil, and this is a plastic frame. This is a pivot over which this contact is mounted, and there is one more contact here. So in these two contacts, this upper one is a fixed contact and lower end is the moving contacts. So what will happen, that once this relay gets supply or we fed the current to this relay, so what happen, this relay gets energized and this relay will become magnetized. So a magnetic field will try to open this moving contact, or this moving contact will be pulled down. As soon as this moving contact will be pulled down, these contacts which are touching to each other, now they gets opened and circuit is interrupted. So basically this is the internal part of the circuit breaker. So as I have discussed that under normal operating condition, these contacts will remain closed, and In that condition, if we want to open it manually, we can open it, otherwise it will not open. But whenever there is a fault in the circuit or in the system, then relay gets energized and these contacts becomes open, so the faulty element will be disconnected from the power system network. That is the internal operation of the circuit breaker. Now same thing has been discussed here, that is whenever fault occurs under abnormal conditions, the abnormal conditions may be different. In case of a DC supply, there may be a overspeed also, high temperature of the DC also, over voltage, under voltage, over current. These are called the abnormal conditions. So at any part of the power system, relay coil gets energized, which is sufficient enough to close the trip circuit, and the strip coils of the circuit breaker gets energized. And same thing as I have told, that moving contacts will be pulled down and the faulty element will be disconnected. So now we have to see, when contacts of the circuit breaker are separated under fault condition, what happens? An arc is struck between them. That is the most important thing in these circuit breakers, that as usually you might have observed that at homes, once you are operating a switch in normal condition, so as soon as you close the switch, and you will see that there is sudden spark is created. This spark is nothing but this is a arc. So an arc is struck between them. Since circuit breaker contacts are carrying a very large current, so once these contacts try to open, then in between the contacts, the space which is provided, there will be development of the arc. So the current is thus able to continue until the discharge ceases. Thus the production of arc not only delays the current interruption process, but it also generates the enormous heat which may cause damage to the system or the circuit breaker itself. So what does it mean? That when circuit breaker contacts try to get open, so in between the contact there will be an arc developed, and this, until unless this arc continues, so the current will not be interrupted from the circuit breaker, or we can say that current flowing through the contacts or close contacts of the circuit breaker will not get interrupted until unless arc is being extinguished or arc is eliminated. So our main problem is in this production system, that one circuit breaker is trying to be opened or the contacts is trying to be opened, then there will be a development of arc between the contacts, and this arc tries to continue the flow of current and also generate a heat in the space between the contacts. So we have to be very careful that this heat generated may damage the circuit breaker. This is what has been said here. So the problem in the circuit breaker is to extinguish the arc within the shortest possible time, so that heat generated by it may not reach a dangerous value. So our problem is, or we should design a system that whenever circuit breaker contacts tries to get open, then arc produced in between the contacts should be as possible as shortest time, that is minimum shortest time, it should be extinguished or it should be completely eliminated from that space, so that we can avoid further damage to the system. So what is the arc phenomenon? When short circuit occurs, a heavy current flows through the contacts of the circuit breaker before they are opened by the protective system. At the instant when contacts start to separate, the contact area decreases rapidly, and a large forward current will lead to increased current density and hence rise in temperature. So as we know that once the contacts are close together, they are touching together, then the surface area of the contacts will be more. And as soon as the contacts try to separate, then slowly this contact area will decrease, and this will try to large fall current, which will lead to increase the current density and rise in temperature. So heat produced in the medium between the contacts, medium may be the oil or medium may be the air. So that will be sufficient to ionize the air or medium, or vaporize and ionize the arc. So what happens that when circuit breaker contacts is opening or trying to get open, then space between the circuit breaker contacts is either maybe the oil or it may be the air. So as soon as the arc produces or arc developed is try to ionize the particles available in the air between the circuit breaker contacts. So this will try to maintain the arc, or this try to facilitate to keep on going the arc in further time. That is the arc phenomenon. Let us see, it has been shown here that these are the two electrodes here. These are the electrodes, nothing but these are the circuit breaker contacts. Now once here it has been shown that circuit breaker contacts are open, so in between the space of this contact, this arc is produced. The blue line which has been shown here, that is nothing but it is a arc. This arc will have a arc voltage and this will have a arc resistance. So that is how we can define it further, that the arc provides a low resistance path and consequently the current in the circuit remains uninterrupted as long as the arc persists. So as I have told that until unless arc persists, and since it has a low resistance path, so the current flowing across the circuit breaker contacts will not be interrupted. So during the arcing period, the current flowing between the contacts depends upon the arc resistance. Greater is the arc resistance, smaller will be the current that flows between the contacts. That is well known that if arc resistance is more, there will be a less current flowing across the circuit breaker contacts, and if arc resistance is less, then there will be a large current flowing across the circuit breaker contacts. So basically this arc resistance depends upon the following factor. What are the factors? That is, first is the degree of ionization. What is the degree of ionization? The arc resistance increases with the decrease in the number of ionized particles between the contacts. So if the ionized particle between the contacts is decreases, then the arc resistance increases. And second is the length of the arc. The arc resistance increases with the length of the arc, that is separation of the contact. And third one is the cross section of the arc. The arc resistance increases with the decrease in area of cross section of arc. So these are the factors, that is the arc resistance depend upon the following factor. So what are the factors? First factor is the degree of ionization, second factor is the length of the arc, and third factor is the cross section of the arc. Now we are talking about the arc voltage. So what is the arc voltage? It is the voltage that appears across the contacts of the circuit breaker during the arcing period. As we know that in previous slide we have shown that this is the arc which has been shown between the contacts. This arc is nothing but there will be a initiation of the arc voltage also. So this arc is having a supplement of the arc voltage. There will be measurement of the arc voltage. So This is has been told that what is the arc voltage? It is the voltage that appears across the contacts of the circuit breaker during the arcing period. And what is the arcing period? Arcing period will be that when circuit breaker contacts tries to get open, then arc will be produced or arc will be developed across the circuit breaker contact. Now we want to define what is the wrist striking voltage. It is the transient voltage that appears across the contacts at or near zero during the arcing period. At current zero, a high frequency transient voltage appears across the contacts and is caused by the rapid distribution of energy between the magnetic and electric fields associated with the plant and transmission line of the system. So this transient voltage is known as wrist striking voltage. We will see with the help of diagram a waveform that what is the wrist striking voltage and what is the arc voltage. Let us see, this is the waveform which has been shown here. So this waveform indicated as a system voltage, that is normal system voltage which has been applied to a circuit breaker, and this had been shown as the fault current. This is the fault current. So what happens that this fault current when reaches to zero current position, this is the current zero stand. So at this current zero stand, the high frequency oscillations are developed. These are the high frequency oscillations are developed, and this consists of a voltage that is called the wrist striking voltage. So one can think of that when there is a current reaching to the zero, or we can say the fault current reaches to the zero position, then why further high frequency transient developed or wrist striking voltage developed across the circuit breaker? It's only because our power system network consists of a inductance and capacitance elements, and they are nothing but they are the energy storing devices. So what happens that in case of inductor, if we change the value of current or we have a sudden change of the current, there will be a energy developed across the inductor. So because of these energy storing devices, when current tries to reach to the zero, it means from maximum it has reached to the zero, and then further it is going to be increased. So because of the change in the current at current zero position, high frequency oscillations in terms of the voltage tangents developed across the circuit breaker contacts. These are the shown by vertical lines. These are the high frequency oscillations, and these waveforms is having a very high voltage across the circuit breaker. This is called the wrist striking voltage. And what we see that after few oscillations, again this voltage becomes to the normal voltage. That is, this is called the system voltage. So here up to this point, this is a normal voltage, and this voltage is here up to this point, this is a normal voltage. But when the fault current reaches to the zero position, then suddenly this voltage develops a very high voltage because of the high frequency oscillation developed across the system. So this is called the wrist striking voltage, and once these high frequency oscillations are removed from the system and the voltage becomes the system normal voltage from here to here. So from here to here, this voltage is called the recovery voltage. Recovery means voltage has been recovered to the normal position. That's why we call it. It is called the recovery voltage. This is what we define the recovery voltage, wrist striking voltage, and this is the system voltage, and this is the fault current. So this is a system diagram, a power substation, which has been shown here, that this is the circuit breaker and a fault has been created, that is short circuit fault has been created through this grounding. So this is the circuit breaker. So at this state, initially the voltage here is 0 volt. Now due to the current 0 position, when high voltage is developed because this point, that is called the TRV voltage, that is the restriking voltage. And how much it is? It is 276 kilovolt theoretical maximum. So for this substation, this is called the circuit breaker, and the restriking voltage changes to develop the called the circuit breaker contains this value may reach very high voltage that has been shown here, that is 276 kilovolt. So it's very high voltage. So same thing is defined here. What is the recovery voltage? It is the normal frequency 50 Hz RMS voltage that appears across the contacts of the circuit breaker after final arc extension, and it is approximately equal to the system voltage. So as I have shown here, this once the restriking voltage transient has been completely finished off, it means arc is totally eliminated and circuit breaker contacts gets opened completely. So system will become the normal voltage, and this is called the recovery voltage. So same thing has been explained here. Now one more thing is here, that is the rate of rise of restriking voltage. So what is, how you can define it? It is the rate of increase of restriking voltage and is abbreviated by RRRV. Usually the voltage is in kilovolts and time in microseconds, so that RRRV is kilovolt per microsecond. So in further slides, we will define the relationship of the rate of rise of restriking voltage and what is the restriking voltage. But up to now, we should only consider here that what is the recovery voltage, what is the rate of rise of restriking voltage, and what is arc, what is the arc voltage, what is the arc resistance. These are things had been explained so far. So this is what about this lecture of the circuit breaker.